So Ed, what's
That's right.
your role at Intel IT?
I'm an IT technology evangelist with the Innovation and Pathfinding team.
Okay. So what are some of the forces that you're seeing that are shaping the direction of client computing?
So probably the biggest force is this idea of consumerization, where the user can go out and get the devices that they want that make sense for them. And then they come to IT and expect that we integrate our services with them. So the issue there, from an IT perspective, is that we still have to support and manage the data and the applications that we would deliver to devices like that. But at the same time, we don't actually own the device. And how do we separate our services from the user's personal side of the equation?
So do you think it's an option anymore for IT to simply say, no, we're not going to support personal devices?
So I think it's an option, but I think it's an option that some IT organizations aren't taking anymore. So whether it's being driven by upper level management or from the user community or from both sides, driven by from the side as well as from the top, IT is now under pressure to begin looking at these new technologies and usage models to see if they could actually reduce costs.
So as an IT manager that is being faced with the challenge of having to address how to bring personal devices into an organization, what are some of the first next steps you should be taking? What are some of the questions you should be asking? What are some of the areas you should be looking into to figure out how to manage that integration?
Okay. So first and foremost, I think you have to understand what devices are being asked for, right? So is it just smartphones, or is it more than that? Is it tablets? Is it other devices? And how difficult is that integration of IT services going to be? Second is, what are the applications that people are really asking for? Is it just email, calendar, contacts? Because that's relatively simple. But when you start talking about other IT applications, personnel type stuff, human resources, corporate information type applications, it gets a little more complex in how you're going to deliver that kind of capability, because the underlying framework just isn't there for delivering that like it is for calendar and email. So probably the combination of understanding who you're delivering to, what devices you're delivering to, and what applications you're looking at would be the first questions that I'd ask.
Okay. And how critical is it for an IT organization to work with other teams in the evaluation of personal devices in the organization, so like legal or other departments like that?
Yeah, so it's really critical because the big rocks aren't necessarily on the technology side. So what we're seeing is that there are even more questions around legal policy, security policy, HR policy, as there are around what the technology is going to be. So eventually the technology issues will be solved, but how long will it take to actually address some of these policy questions, like privacy and security?
Great. Thanks, Ed.
Sure.